and welcome to Chocolate Good Games match preview of West Ham United against Chelsea. Gonzo, may we kick it off with your thoughts on Chelsea, please?
Yeah, well, they're obviously the champions of the universe now, so they've done really, really well to do that. That is a tournament that was better than I thought it would be, by the way. Fair play to them, actually. I think they've ridden the storm with the manager, who was, I think, at points underwhelming last season, particularly, I think, as far as the Chelsea fan base were concerned. There were certain criticisms that maybe they'd not done the smartest thing by flogging Gallagher, but I understand, through the academy, 100% profit, etc., etc. He'd gone to Spain and performed really, really well. Maresca was maybe seen as a little bit boring, not against us. Obviously, they pulled our pants down, but maybe a little bit pragmatic. And even, I think, certainly getting into the last quarter of the season, they weren't even certain that they were going to qualify. Even for Europe, I think at one point it was sort of hanging in the balance. And then I very much remember him coming out in the press and justifying himself. But they got over the line. They finished relatively strongly. And I think by the end of it, nobody was too concerned. But I think the calls for him to be sacked, which obviously Chelsea do a lot of sacking of managers. I say, sitting here as a West Ham fan, but let's see how this rolls out in the next month. But I do also, I think it quietened down a little bit. And I think the World Club Cup Championship, whatever it's called, has done them the world of good and has done Maresca the world of good. And I think there's probably a little spring in their step now, actually. And I think they're buying players and no Abramovich, no problem by the looks of it, as far as Chelsea are concerned.
Yeah, I think it was a season of moulding, really, under Maresca last season, trying to work out which players he wants, which players he doesn't want. And he was quite ruthless 12 months ago. Like Ben Chilwell and Raheem Sterling, he rocked up and said, I don't want him, get him gone. Like, I'm not going to use him, get him out of the club. And I think that's what they needed a little bit to cut down the numbers. And the squad was still a little bit on the bigger side. But throughout the season, there were some performances I was really impressed by. There were some performances that were a little bit lacking. But as you said, to finish the season really strongly, got into Champions League places, won the Conference League very comfortably, as you would expect them to, but they still had to do it, and they did it. And then the Club World Cup, and I agree with you, I thought it was better than I thought, and I appreciate a lot of fans didn't like it. I completely understand why people, there's some listening, I'd imagine a lot of people listening to this actually didn't even watch a game of the Club World Cup. I completely get it. Fan fatigue is a thing. You can have too much football. You can get tired of it. And if you're not a Chelsea fan, I completely understand why you wouldn't care about this tournament or you didn't tune in. But it doesn't mean that Chelsea fans didn't care about it. But what it certainly doesn't mean is that the teams involved didn't care, because no one will convince me they didn't. When you look at that tournament and you're seeing the teams that Manchester City and Bayern Munich are putting out, the heavyweights were there. They were taking it serious. And Chelsea came up against PSG in the final and just won very comfortably. That performance changed my opinion on Chelsea a lot, actually, because I thought, wow, this wasn't just a smash and grab. Maresca outdone Enrique. The players were fantastic on the night, and Chelsea ran out really deserved winners, actually. It was one of the best performances I've seen from a team in the previous 12 months, that Chelsea win against PSG at the Club World Cup. Huge win for them, a lot of money. They've been busy in the transfer window, as you'd expect as well. I think it's a club that's looking up rather than down, and they're looking forward rather than over their shoulders, which hasn't always been like that at Chelsea in recent seasons, but it feels like there's maybe a little bit of stability there at the moment. In terms of this season, though, Gonzo, do you see them as title contenders?
No, I think they'll finish third, but I do think that's progress for them. I still think there's a little bit of work to be done, but I do think their recruitment's really impressive. As you know, Xavi Simons is a player. I just love watching those type of players play football, and the sort of player that gets me switching on the telly. Put it that way. I just love all that low center of gravity and just comfortable on the ball, and just the way they travel. They glide. Those players glide. If they get him, I think that'll. They've got so many good players. You wouldn't think an additional one would make a difference, but I think it all helps. And I think they'll comfortably get Champions League again. I just got a feeling it'd be Man City, Liverpool, and then Chelsea for this season.
They win a trophy though. Can you see them picking up?
Oh, for sure, yeah. They can win anything. They're that good, and you'd be silly to dismiss them. They've just, as I say, they just become world champions. They won the Conference League, which is the toughest of all trophies to win, as we know. And why not? Why not? There's no reason they can't win an FA Cup or whatever. Win another European trophy. They could honestly win anything. I think aside from the Premier League, just think the 38 games. That's a little bit tougher, funnily enough, to win maybe. So but that definitely would not surprise me if they win trophies this season.
I'm inclined to completely agree with everything you just said. Actually, I think it wouldn't surprise me if come May, I went into a coma and woke up in May and you said, "Oh, Chelsea won the FA Cup." I'm like, "All right, yeah, won the Champions League. Wow, okay, that's impressive, but fair enough, yeah."
Yep.
The reason I'm going to say no to the Premier League title is because I think the Club World Cup is going to impact them eventually at some point. I think they've just played football non-stop. They obviously had a break post Club World Cup, but it wasn't that long. Came back, they had the one friendly before playing Crystal Palace last week. It's not ideal preparation. I do just worry that maybe there's just a lot of minutes in some of those players over the last 12 months or so. I think they might be okay for now. But even like the international break coming up in September, it's okay for teams like us where we'll lose a few players, but that's it. But actually, Chelsea lose pretty much the entire squad. They're often they don't even get a rest at that period. And I just wonder, maybe come December, where the fixtures are a little bit congested, you're playing a lot of football. Obviously, they've got Champions League football as well. I do wonder maybe that's where it's going to hit them a little bit. And I appreciate that they've got a big squad and there will be players that can rotate. But when you're playing Premier League and your ambitions is to win the title and you're playing Champions League and your ambitions are to win the Champions League, there's not that much rotation you can do. Sure, but the Carabao Cup rolls around, you might decide, all right, I'm gonna start rotating players here. I don't think they will rotate Cole Palmer and Caicedo. How much are they going to really be rested? Probably not that much, in all honesty. So I think it'll just hit them somewhere. Speaking, by the way, I agree with if they get Xavi Simons, I think it'll be good for Palmer. I still prefer Palmer on the right. I think he's a better player. I understand why he's in the middle, but I think you get Simons in there and move Palmer back to his original position. What are you laughing at?
It doesn't matter. So, but people will pick up on it. It doesn't matter. Go on, carry on.
Wow, no, say it.
Siemens. It's fine. Look, I shouldn't be laughing at such things. I'm 51 years of age.
Oh, come
you
on.
Hear your girlfriend say men never grow up. There it is. There's your proof. Carry on. Sorry.
Anyway, speaking of Cole Palmer, not Seaman.
Good job too. That would take an interesting turn. This preview.
To be fair, if we win, we might have to discuss it a little bit more.
I'm very, very excited. Are you feeling fruity? I'll say, well, it's gone beyond that. I'll say, Gio.
I'm easily aroused.
Definitely.
In regards to Cole Palmer, though, I mean, this is going to sound like a crap stat now after the last minute, but he hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League from open play since January.
Sorry, West Ham or Cole Palmer?
Both. But you know what's going to happen on Friday night. Cole Palmer, 7 months since he scored in open play for Chelsea, the Premier League. Right, last question on Chelsea. Is the one you're expecting, Gonzo. Players you admire, please?
All of them, pretty much. I think.
What, you admire Raheem Sterling?
No, all right, fair enough. Not all of them. João Pedro is I think is a really shrewd signing, and I think that's really good. I thought against Palace, Esteval, I think that's his name is. I don't know, bloody hell, he was. He looked pretty decent when he. I was going to say came on the pitch, but we should just leave all that stuff alone. Quite frankly, I like the signing of Gittins. Reece James, really good player, but he's got to keep. He's captain now, so he probably is going to keep. What's his name? Gusto. Is that his name? Yeah. I think that probably. So that's an interesting one. So many though. Caicedo, you mentioned it. Honestly, I could just reel off name after name after name. Loads and loads of really good players.
Caicedo, I think, is one of the best players in the Premier League. That PFA team of the season for last season came out last night. How he wasn't in it is just ridiculous, to be honest with you. Enzo Fernandez is a player I'm a big fan of. I don't know if we see the best of him enough in a Chelsea shirt, to be honest with you. Some games you'll see him and he'll sort of be at his best and he'll be one of the best players on the pitch easily. In the next game you watch and he just doesn't feel like he's quite impacting it as much as he should be. I agree with you in terms of their acquisitions this summer. I think they're absolutely brilliant. You know, to have a front three as your options of Delap, Pedro, and Jackson, it's not too shabby, is it? When you've got that, the third worst striker in Maresca's eyes is Nicholas Jackson. They're doing all right. He's got plenty of players to play for, but I agree they've got quality. I'm still a little bit suspect over Robert Sanchez as goalkeeper, but I will admit and appreciate he had a fantastic tournament in America. I thought he's man of match against PSG, but I'm still a little bit unsure of him as the long-term number one at Stamford Bridge. But apart from that, a lot of talent in a lot of positions. Right then, shall we talk about our team?
Well, fortunately so, yes.
Would you like some team news?
Yes, please.
Well, as expected, there's no Somerville. He's still on track to be back after the international break, but he's not available for this one. George Earthy's now back running in training, but this game comes too soon for him. And we discovered that Luis Guilherme has actually broken his collarbone, so he's out for this fixture as well. But one player who is back, if we want him in our teams, is Callum Marshall. He served his suspension against Sunderland after getting sent off for Huddersfield at the end of last season, but he is available for selection if I say Graham Potter wishes for the next 5-10 minutes. This is what we wish, not what Potter wishes. Right then, into the team. As I said, this is what we want to see. Well, I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to change up a little bit.
So am I. So am I.
I think you're maybe going to say what I'm going to say, which is last week, I think we were quite kind when we did this 11-1 to see. We said, well, we'll do it within Graham Potter's parameters. Well, scrap that. I don't want to do it in Graham Potter's parameters because I think they're wrong. I think his formation's wrong. I think his strategy is wrong. And I think that's the first thing that needs to be changed for Friday night, actually. And I think if he continues with his 3-5-2, I think we're in big trouble before the ball's even being kicked, personally. So I think something needs to change. And I think it needs to start. The personnel need to be changed as well. But I think, to steal one of Gonza's phrases, if we were to just change the personnel only, it's like rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. Well, none of that. We're getting a new boat here. What formation would you like to see?
No new chairs. No, the chairs are the same. We're getting a new boat. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, at the risk of agreeing with each other throughout the entirety of the video. Yeah, absolutely. I changed the shape, so I'll be going to 4 at the back for this one, and probably for all other ones, but for now, certainly, I'm going to keep Hermansen in goal. I think the damage it would possibly cause him by getting him in for one game and saying, "Oh no, you're crap, get out." I don't think it'd be the best thing in the world to do. So I'm going to put him in there. I don't think he's as bad as we saw, which is, you know, sort of contradiction in terms. Really, you're thinking, "Hold on, mate, I saw it. He is that bad." Yeah. We need to give him a chance to settle, I think. On the back four, my back four, I'm going to play Wan-Bissaka at right back. I'm going to play this. I've mulled over this for, well, I was going to say for a long time, probably for about 60 seconds, actually. I'm thinking I'm going to play Todibo and I'm going to play Mavropanos next to him, which I know is no left footer in there. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to play Kyle Walker-Peters at left back, although I wouldn't be unhappy if it went the other way round, if you know what I mean. If you could swap those two fullbacks round. But that's my back four.
Well, we've got a match.
Oh!
Actually. Yeah, we've got a match. I agree with Hermansen. It's a big call for Potter here, and this is a bad situation he's found himself in. So he started Hermansen over Areola for Sunderland, which I understand, and it's what I wanted to see.
Yep.
But in doing so, you've sort of possibly pissed off Areola in the process. So now, if he wants to go say, "Oh, Alphonse, you're going back in goal," he might find himself that he's got a bit of a keeper with a bit of a problem, and also a dent in confidence as well. So actually, I think both keepers possibly got a dent to their confidence last weekend. Areola because he's hoofed out the team, and Hermansen because he's wrists turned into Weetabix when Isidore took a shot. So he's got a bit of an issue here. Which goalkeeper do you pick? For me, it's Hermansen. I think sometimes you've got to play yourself through bad form sometimes, and not always. You can take out and put in and so on and so forth. But I think goalkeepers is the one position where I think you maybe get off it a little bit. If you make a mistake, I think you get the next game and maybe the one after that as well to redeem yourself. It's not quite as cutthroat as pretty much every outfield position is a little bit more ruthless. If you make a big mistake or have a bad game, you're out for the next one, depending on who you are. Obviously, if Bowen has a bad game, it doesn't matter. But say the centre backs, for example, have a bad game, right? You're out for the next one. I appreciate people be screaming Kilman and Ward-Prowse at me. I'm in agreement. It shouldn't be like that, but perhaps that's what we've got at the moment. But I agree with Gonzo's back four. Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Mav Panos, and Kyle Walker-Peters. I'm okay if you put Wan-Bissaka over there. The only reason I'd start with him at right back is because he was one of our best players last season in that position. And also he's got a good understanding with Jared Bowen already. We've got an established relationship with those two. Walker-Peters and Bowen doesn't have that yet, so I'd stick with what we know. Moving into the midfield three.
Yeah.
Middle of the pitch, what you got?
Alvarez. I'm not doing it to be, sensationalistic. Alvarez and Potts.
Bold to play a Fenerbahce player in midfield.
That's true. He hasn't signed yet, has he?
No, he's in training today. He is training with the first team today.
You had me worried there. Yeah. I would do. I would do. I think he's the best man for that job that we've got. I think Potts next to him, and I'd play Petta as your number 10 or whatever. Maybe I'm going with a double pivot there, Gio. Depends if you want Petta to do any pivoting. Might be a triple pivot. But yeah, that's my midfield three.
I've gone Potts, WHUCHE, and Petta. A bit harsh on Rodriguez. He doesn't deserve to be dropped. He was, we both gave him a good mark last week. And for those that aren't patrons, the patrons every week fill in give us a player rating for everyone involved. And Rodriguez was the Hammers Chat patrons man of the match, going by the average rating. Everyone, there was over 100 people that got involved, so there's 100 West Ham fans have submitted the numbers, and he came out as the man of the match, which I've got no complaints with. So he deserves to start on merit. Unfortunately, I don't want to see it because he will directly be up against Cole Palmer, and I think he will get absolutely annihilated by him. I think he'll just get rinsed. I think Sunderland in the first half, he was good. Second half, there was a couple of occasions where Diarra in particular broke and he had to huff and puff to get back and he was done for pace, but he did recover well. I just think with Palmer, I don't think you get that opportunity to get back and recover. I think he's a bit more ruthless. I think he's better. And I think he can cause far more trouble for us than what Diarra could. So I don't want to see Rodriguez in there. Potts comes in. Speaking about denting confidence, I'm a bit worried about what maybe last Saturday's done to him. I hope he does come across as quite confident and quite assured in himself, which is good.
Yeah.
WHUCHE, I want to see goal threat in there. I want to see someone that can get us goals, and WHUCHE's one of those players. And Petta, and what I want to add is lucky to be in our starting 11s. He was stinky at the Stadium of Light, and he's in there because there's not much other options, and it's almost like, I know you can do it. Can you please bloody turn up?
Yeah.
That leaves Bowen on the right, and who would you like on the left?
Magic Juff.
Yep.
Yeah. Take that defensive responsibility away from him. I actually think, Gio, it's not change for change's sake. I don't think we're particularly creative through the middle anyway. And I think you've just sort of tapped into one of the reasons why you have to play Petta, because he's our only cutting edge creative passer. And even he hasn't, got an assist in, I don't know, in the last, however long it might be.
43 games, I think, in the league.
There you go. But I do think double trouble down each flank of Walker-Peters and Juff down one, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka and Bowen down the other. I think it gives them something to think about. And here's, I've been saying this for years, give the opposition coach, when the team sheet goes in, something to think about. Because if he just goes and puts the 3-5-2 or whatever we've been playing, Potter, and it gives Maresca nothing to think about at all. So, okay, well, this is predictable, and we can deal with this quite comfortably. This is comfortable stuff. We know what they're going to do. We know how they're going to play. But he gets this 4-3-3 or whatever you want to call it that we're talking about here, I'm presuming you've got WHUCHE there as well, and I think we have.
I do, yes.
Yeah, then I think he's going to think, right, hold on a second, how's that going to play out? I think he might even look, hold on, who's left back and who's in front? In fact, who's left back and who's right back? And
are they playing Wan-Bissaka in the back three and Walker Peters right wing back?
Brilliant. I didn't even thought of that. Brilliant. Yeah. I just think it creates uncertainty, which means when he's talking to Gittins or Palmer or whoever it may be, right, okay, I'm not exactly sure who you're going to have to press at this point, or who who the man marker is, who you're going to follow, any of this stuff. It just creates uncertainty. And that's I think it's a really important thing to do. Unless you've got a really balanced team and a settled team that's winning all the time, that's fine. You don't have to make changes then. But when you're shit like us, make some changes, do something different, keep the opposition guessing. Magic WHUCHE, full Krug up front, obviously Bowen on the right.
Yeah, I completely agree with that front three as well. It's an element of just being direct and put Bowen in his best position, please. Just get Bowen on the right, up against Cucurella, who will venture forward quite often. He's like an auxiliary number 8 for Chelsea at times. And Reece James cuts in field as well a lot. So there is space out wide where Chelsea's fullback should be because of the way Maresca plays. Now, the problem is when they've got the ball, Chelsea, they overload the middle of the pitch and it's very hard to defend against. But when you can win it and you can break on the transition quickly, the space is out wide, really. So it'll be a bit frustrating if our widest players are actually playing fullback in defensive positions and they're next to Gittins and Neto or whoever Chelsea select. I think they might pick Estevao this game because I don't think Gittins was that great against Crystal Palace. But regardless, it just gives us an out as well. Fast attacks go. And I can imagine a scenario where WHUCHE is loading up crosses on that left-hand side, but has support from Walker Peters. Too often, I thought he was on his own against Sunderland. We got the ball to him, and we struggled to get the ball to him. But when we did, he's up against 2 players at times, and he's not going to be able to create anything from that. So give him a bit of backup with Walker Peters, who can underlap and overlap. He's a very experienced fullback in the Premier League. And just keep loading that left-hand side. And in the middle, you've got Krug, Bowen, and for myself, not you, but for me, I've got Thomas WHUCHE in the box as well. And I'm okay with that. Just get the crosses in and try and get something against this Chelsea team. Right then, before we discuss the importance of the game, and if we're feeling optimistic, just one point in direction of, nope, not Boyle Sports, not Sir Sharp, not even our Patreon, where we have our prediction competition. You fancy winning a signed Julian Dix shirt? Not even that. Our online store. Now, we've been waiting on certain mugs to arrive because we're giving them to patrons, but they've arrived now. So now we know when the online store is coming offline, and it is on Transfer Deadline Day. Transfer Deadline Day. So Monday, the 1st of September, will be the final day you can purchase something from HamishChatStore.com. We've got a closing down sale on there at the minute. Go have a look. A lot of the stuff that is on sale has sold, which is brilliant. But there's still a couple of Christmas jumpers I'm looking forward to get rid of. But also, got these sexy pants. Gonzo said at the start of the video, Chelsea pulled our pants down last time. If they looked like these, you wouldn't really mind them being exposed, to be honest with you. These are our pants. We collaborated with Oddballs, one of the best makers of boxers in the UK, for our Bubbles version. And they're £13 a pair. So go to HamishChatStore.com, get yourself some pants, and hopefully, when you wear them, maybe you pick and choose what games to wear them on. They could be your lucky pants. Wear them.
I would show you, but I'm not wearing pants at the moment.
Brilliant. Anyway, right. Match day 2 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Shouldn't feel important.
No.
But sort of does.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's on. And you're right, it shouldn't feel important, and it shouldn't be that the pressure is on. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where this was always going to happen, where even the well-meaning who said you've got to give Potter time, you've got to give him the start of next season, even that puts pressure on him for this season. And I've numerous people, not just West Ham fans, I remember Simon Jordan doing it on Talk Sports, saying you've got to give Potter next season. But he already has, I was going to say his credit in the bank's got debt. It's not credit. He's built up debt. Whatever it is, 5 wins in 20 games. It's not
well at West Ham then.
It's true.
Sullivan knows where he can go for a 3-day loan if he wants to sort that out.
That's made in heaven, really, aren't they?
Next week, Potter has overdraft
Mm.
facility with Barclays Bank.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's in trouble. He needs to. Yeah, I think his formation is. I just think the Premier League's moved on. Despite Karen Brady saying he's a forward manager, he's playing a formation from 1990. But anyway, there is pressure on him. I don't think he's been helped by the board, just to give it the quick caveat, because I don't feel he's been supported. There's no way anybody will convince me that they are his midfielders that he's got. And I don't think anybody would make that case. But I also don't think he's saying to the board, oh, do you know what? I'm happy with this slot. I know people say, oh, he's a yes man. I don't think he is. I think he's probably saying, can I have some midfielders, please? Right. And so I would lay the blame for that at their door, not his. That being said, I don't think he's been doing particularly well at being pragmatic with the players that he has got. So I think he doesn't have the players that he wants, but he's still going to try and play his style of football. And I've seen numerous managers over the years who might say, well, actually, these aren't quite the type of players I want, but I'm going to be a little bit more pragmatic with it. Funny enough, we talk one manager I'd like us to go for should the worst, or as some would say, inevitable happen. I'd like us to go for Marco Silva. He is someone that's done that in reverse. He is someone that has sort of added pragmatism. He's sort of tried to do something. Actually, do you know what? I'm still going to play my style, but I'm going to try and add a bit more pace. Football's changed. I'm going to try and be a little bit more dirty as well. And I think that for that reason, pressure's on. I also think he's not helped by the composition of the squad. I think we lack players with the mentality to battle sometimes. I really enjoy looking at the videos of them joking around and the quizzes and that. And I think that's really, really great. But I think there comes a point where you cross that line and you're not playing FIFA with your mate anymore. And actually, you've got to turn into a bit grisly. I think you've got to be attritional. I think you've got to go and battle. And I don't feel, ironically, the one player, I know perhaps he does it too much, that does go into battle is Edson Alvarez. And I do worry that we don't have enough of that. I don't see a lot of leaders in the team. And I know people will chuck Fulkrug back at me. Yes, and that would be true. But I think even people like Soufal and Cresswell are probably losses in terms of cajoling the squad. So I think this is a problem for us. I think there's a lot. Yes, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. It is a really, really important game for West Ham and for Graham Potter.
Yeah, no need to apologise for going off on a tangent. It's our preview. You can talk about what you like. I think it's important for everyone. I think it's important for the players. Happy camp. Well, it's not going to be a happy camp when we lose on Friday, that's for sure. It's important for Graham Potter. We'll talk about to in a second. There's obvious reasons, but I've just got a point I want to make. And then I think it's important for David Sullivan, really, that we don't lose on Friday night. I think if we get a draw, it kicks the can down the road. We win, brings in a bit of good feeling for now, but still we need to get players in. But if we lose, I was going to say that'll be a horrible stadium. I think bits of the stadium will be horrible. I think bits of the stadium will be delighted. All those Chelsea fans scattered around the London stadium in the home end, they'll be absolutely buzzing with what they've just witnessed. But it's an important game for us as a football club as a whole. And it's not because we lose, we get relegated. It's not that. It's we lose, it's a sign of things to come. It's a result of what's happened so far this summer, which is not enough. And what I feel sad about, actually, is that this is a type of game West Ham would usually win. Do you know when we were crap, we'd still be capable of winning a game like this, right? We'd finish 16th, but actually, along the way, we'd beat Arsenal and stop them winning the league. We'd beat Tottenham, ruin their title chances. Do you know what I mean? We'd always upset a couple of the big boys. So we were crap. And we'd be crap for 36 games of a season. But for 2 games, actually, we turned up against one of the big boys and we beat them. You know, West Ham used to be a team that the big boys didn't want to face. But actually, I think that's not the case anymore with the London Stadium. And also, I don't have that sense of... And it's not just the London Stadium, by the way, because under David Moyes at home, I used to feel capable that we'd beat not Man City, but the rest of them. We'd go to play Arsenal or Tottenham or Chelsea. I think we've got a chance here. We might do this. And that was at the London Stadium. So it's not just the ground thing. But actually, looking ahead to Friday night, I don't have that about me. I'm missing it. I'm missing that bit of, we're going to upset Chelsea. We're going to give them a bloody nose kind of thing. We might be crap, but I'll tell you what, we're not going to get bullied. We're going to turn up. We're going to give them a game. We're going to beat them. And then next week, we're going to go to the Molineux in the Carabao Cup, rotate the team, get slapped 3-0. Then we're going to go to the City Ground against Nottingham Forest at the weekend and get beat 2-0. That's West Ham for you. But it doesn't even feel like that at the minute. It just feels like we're going to get beat on Friday, beat on Tuesday, beat on Sunday again. So even that little bit of will still upset a couple of you along the way. Even that's missing for me at the minute. And I feel quite sad about that, actually, because I used to really look forward to these games, but I don't really have that excitement. I think it's important for Potter for obvious reasons, but also the one thing I will say, and I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here now, Graham Potter's a data man. Graham Potter likes his numbers, his statistics. He's referred to it on a couple of occasions and stuff as well. And when he was at Brighton and things weren't going well, so when they went 3 months without scoring a goal at home, then they went 3 months without a home win, 2 different periods, by the way, not the same period. Even though that stat in particular wasn't great, either of them, the underlying data suggested he was doing all right. They were XG champions. Oh, you haven't scored yet, but look, we're creating loads of chances. Just that numpty up front ain't scoring, whether it be Neil Maupay or Glenn Murray, whoever it is up front. He's on a goal drought. We're creating plenty of chances. The numbers say we should have scored 6 goals. We've actually scored none. It's just unlucky. Well, actually, that's not really existing at West Ham at the minute. The graphic flashed up last season that we were, 2 shots on target per game, right? The underlying numbers at the minute ain't making Potter look too good. And I think there might be a bit of an embarrassment on his part that when something he relies on or he values so greatly, which is the numbers behind the game, even they're not suggesting you're doing a good job. But I think that's where he might find himself getting a little bit embarrassed, because at Brighton, he had that card to pull out and say, yeah, but look at the numbers. Well, actually, now it's like Uno reverse against him, which is, well, actually, Graham, look at the numbers. XG's crap as well as everything else. So he needs a good performance. I think he needs a win. I think a good performance and a draw will be enough, I think. But it's got to be one of the two.
Yeah.
Win and performance doesn't really matter. Or play well, get a draw and give us a little bit of hope so we can come away going, actually, I quite enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed this. I can see what you're trying to do. And I want to feel after the game that if Potter had new midfielders, we would have won that. And I'm okay with that feeling.
For sure.
At present, I don't feel like that. Gonzo, are you feeling optimistic?
No, not at all. And it's funny, actually, because I never look at XG and all the rest of it. I just don't look at it. But I did yesterday against Sunderland. I say I looked at it, I've forgotten what it is, but it was like 0.46 or 0.52. It was basically, as I understood it, like half a goal. Right.
But Sunderland's was like 0.63, which suggests they shouldn't have even scored one.
Okay, fair enough.
But when you think about it, right, that third goal, the XG would have been minimal because the keeper's expected to collect that very easily. The first header, it's a very difficult chance. It just bobbles in for some reason.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Just shows about stats, doesn't it? Anyway, there you go. Sorry. What was your
Are you optimistic?
No, I'm not optimistic at all. How can you be? I just can't. I can't find anything. We really needed to get the midfielders over the line before this game. I think it is borderline negligence to go into the season with a midfield as dysfunctional as ours is. Should never have been allowed. I think it may have been the worst thing that's happened this summer, is that they've had so long to work at it, so long. And I am continually. It's not a new thing for West Ham. How we seem, and it doesn't matter who the manager is. Which should point at what the problem is. We seem happy to not factor in games, lose points like this one. It's almost like, well, we'll get the deals done, but that's all right. We'll lose 6 points. That's fine, but it's not fine at all. I think it's actually, and you look at the bigger picture. I think it's the sort of stuff. Even going back to like when we brought Jesse Lingard in and didn't bring a striker and stuff like that. I think it's the sort of stuff sometimes, even when we've been doing well, that has been the difference between Europa League or Champions League. Yeah. It's stuff like we're really bad at this stuff. We'll get it done now. Get it done at the start of January, and you may well find. I always, honestly, always astounded that think, well, we'll do it in a couple of days' time. Whatever, it could be 9 points. I know Wolves is a cup game, of course, but this is what we're dealing with here. But so no, I'm not confident at all.
Yeah, it's hard to be optimistic, and like I said, it's a shame because usually I've got a bit of fire in me for games like this, and maybe because we're recording this early afternoon on Wednesday, maybe that's having an impact because it's all about the transfer window currently. Transfer. Maybe come Friday, I'll think, right, come on then, boys, let's get stuck into this lot and give them a game and get something off them. Maybe once it comes to match day, and I think transfer window at the minute is just occupying everyone, especially currently right now. There's all these rumours around midfielders and bids going in. Lots of rumours suggesting that the bids have been accepted. And Andre Santos of Chelsea, apparently we've been told, don't even bother coming back, kind of thing. Right, okay, brilliant. just what I hear.
I've heard that a few times outside of football.
So it's not, the mood's not great, but also what we're trying to do to change the mood is also not great as well. So it's not even like Fernandez is away for his medical at Rush Green today. So it's like, right, okay, he's not here for Chelsea. That's not good, but he's here for the Wolves game. Brilliant. The solution's in place. The solution ain't in place. We're no closer. Wednesday now, we got pumped at the Stadium of Lightwork. Sunderland fans called it that. Brilliant. I was good. Stadium of Lightwork when they played us. So come 5 p.m. Saturday, we got beat. Full-time whistle went. It's now Wednesday. We're no closer to signing a midfielder. We're no closer at all. All we've done in between is get a couple of tame bids rejected and gone after players that we've already been told don't bother. We've gone after them again. And Andre Santos, Chelsea have been cleared all summer. Unless it's big money, don't even bother. We've gone, bet you're bluffing. Here's our bid. And they've gone, go away. Unless you're bringing something stupid to the table, don't even bother. It's almost like we didn't believe one of the richest club in football when they say we don't need to sell him, go away. I bet you do, though. No, we're against a team that know how to play the PSR rules. They're a team that know how to plow millions into the football club. A team that just scooped over 90 million of prize money in the summer tournament, and we're treating them as if they've just been relegated. Oh, little Chelsea, we'll buy one of your players. Go away. What are you doing here? Anyway, optimism, no. Delusion and whatever. Yeah, why not? A bit of that at the moment. Gonzo, can I get any final words, please? And your all-important score prediction. And while you're doing your final words, I'll try and guess. I'll predict your prediction.
Yeah, look, I think we would have been scarred. I don't mean us as fans, we definitely were, but I think Potter would have been scarred and wounded by what he saw. I don't know what else he can expect actually, because of the lack of players, because he doesn't have the players. And I think a lot of work seems to have gone in over the summer to this new dawn, if you want, this new feeling of positivity, this new camaraderie, this renaissance that's meant to have been going on around the squad. And I think you can do that. And I think you can get players going go-karting together. And I think you can do all of this stuff. But whilst you're doing that, you've got to remember that actually the first game of the season and stuff like that is incredibly important. All that stuff could just be undone. So I feel like a lot of prep was done on this sort of touchy-feely stuff. But actually the big thing that was really going to really get everyone's pecker up, as you alluded to earlier, is a win. And I feel that almost you can undo all that work. So now we've got this person who was speaking so positively just a week ago is now having to really scramble and deal with the fact that actually his tactics within the parameters of the squad that he's got are probably not fit for purpose for this game. And I just think he's put himself on the back foot. So he's going to know this and he's got to change it. And he'll have been wounded. So I suspect, do I think he's going to throw the baby out of the bathwater and change the shape entirely? No, I don't. But I think we'll sit even further back. I think he'll probably do that as well because, well, Chelsea are fast. I mean, I talk about pants. Old Neto there is plays like his underpants are on fire, quite frankly. He's so fast. Gittins is no slouch either. They're a really, really tough team. And I think he might sit back. I think he might see what happened to West Ham last season as well, where the Alvarez derby. So I'm not sure we'll be totally porous, but I do think ultimately they'll win. And I think Chelsea will win 2-0.
I was going to 3-0 with a Palmer open play goal.
I wouldn't be so presumptuous or specific.
I feel a bit nervous for Friday, actually. I think it's a bit bleak around West Ham at the minute. and it's not as bad as it could get. It may feel like it is, but actually, I think it could get worse. And I think Friday night and what happens between now and then, i.e., signing a midfielder or getting closer to signing a midfielder. Come Friday night, we're no closer to signing a midfielder, and we get beat up by Chelsea on that pitch, and the players look like they don't care because we capitulated after we conceded. Now, in the first half against Sunderland, I thought there was some good bits of play. At halftime, I was feeling good. I was thought, yeah, we're going to go on and win it. We're going to go on and nick this 1-0. Come on. Predicted 1-0. I was sitting here all cocky going, I think my prediction's going to come in already. First game of the season, 1-0 West Ham. Get in, move down to London Stadium, sign a couple of midfielders, and we'll beat Chelsea. Happy. I was feeling good at halftime at the Stadium of Light Work. But the second half performance was a disgrace. The way we conceded, and I think we conceded because of Potter's tactics, but the attitude of the players post-conceding was horrendous. They just gave up. There was no fight. I understand if, 35 games into the season and you're 10th in the league and you can't get European football and you can't get relegated and you can see the goal. I can understand why the players go, yeah, they've already checked out. I get it, right? But we're not there. This is match day 1. They look like it's match day 36. Yeah. I wasn't pleased and I was worried, actually. I am hoping that defeat may bring some good things. 1, action in the transfer market, and 2, a reaction from the players from Friday night. There's talk that there was a bust up in the change room and stuff. I bloody hope there was. I hope certain players in there were ripping strips off of each other, not quite grabbing by the neck and pinning them up against the wall, but it might take something like that. Potter's had a week now to work out I say that, he's had 7 months to work out who he can trust and who he can't. But he needs to get this right on Friday. Unfortunately, I think he's going to keep his 3-5-2. I think we're still going to give up lots of space to opposition's fullbacks. And it was okay when we were coming against Ronaldo and Hume, but we're not coming up against them now. We're coming up against Reece James and Cucurella. And I think if you give them as much space as we've been giving fullbacks in pre-season, I think they'll punish us for it. I'm going to say West Ham 1, Chelsea 3, unfortunately. Anyway, time for you guys to get involved in the comments below. Give us a team you want to see, how you see Friday going. If you fancy grabbing a bargain, go to hammerschatstore.com. Have a little look. Christmas is only 4 months away. That's scary, isn't it? It's only 4 months away until Christmas Day. So if you're buying for a West Ham fan, go have a little look. There might be something you like. Grab it, put it somewhere, and then come Christmas time, you go, good job, I took advantage of the Hammers Chat sale. Anyway, myself and Gonzo are off. We'll be live an hour and 5 minutes for a kickoff on Friday with our build-up show. Please come and join us. If you're not going to the game, do drop a like on the video by clicking thumbs up. Skying Hammers Chat, myself and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.